So the categorizations that we currently have within social networks, do you think that they're too broad? Do we need more of a granular component to that?
It's a complicated question, or the answer is complicated.
Sure.
Like right now, I guess what you're like alluding to is like Facebook has one group of friends, and I've spoken before like that offline we have different multiple independent groups.
Right.
That's kind of the way offline social network structures tend to evolve. So it'll be around like life stage. You know, you went to college with these people. You lived in New York for a while. You know those guys. You have a hobby. You know those guys. All those groups are independent. Like your college friends don't necessarily know your New York friends.
Sure, sure.
The chat, and that's not how it's represented online right now.
Yeah.
Like not just on Facebook, but on like email lists or just one list. Your phone, you take out your phone, and your phone book has like people in it that you haven't spoken to in years, right? It's not, and it's just one big list.
Yeah.
The challenge is trying to map the online and offline worlds together. Like, it's very easy offline to, like, you walk into a bar or a cafe, you act one way, your friends are there, you act one way.
Sure.
You, like, walk into, like, your in-laws' house, you act a very different way.
Sure,
right?
sure.
That's easy. Like, there's a lot of social norms. Trying to recreate that online without getting people to put their friends into lists is very hard,
Yeah.
you know? Like, one way to do it is you get people to specify who should be in each group by hand. That's time-consuming. It's a lot of effort. You want to make sure that whatever benefit is there is like great enough that people will do that. The other way to do it is like algorithmically. You know, if you get that wrong, then it can be super awkward too. Like you just suggested, like your closest friends and your ex should all be like, you know, you guys should,
right,
get back together.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I think it'll take this kind of problem will take us. At least many months, if not years, to figure out. It'll probably take years to figure this out properly. Offline life is so rich,
right?
And right now, the mediation through the internet just creates a whole lot of barriers. So we'll see.
Now, an area that's gaining a lot of traction these days is social search. And the question I have for you in regards to that is, when somebody is posing a query against their network, is it more important that the people who are related to it are related to the query as opposed to related to the people in that network?
It probably depends on the question, like what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
One thing is that people are very irrational. Like there's lots of great research. Dan O'Reilly has a great book called Predictably Irrational, where like we're so irrational, but we're irrational in like as human beings, but we're irrational in sometimes predictable ways. What that means is basically you could like be trying to find out something, so you type it into a search engine or ask a friend. The search engine or the computer or whatever you typed it into might have a very objectively high value answer, but you might listen to your friend anyway, right? Because he's your friend, and like this happens all the time where people are trying to make big purchase decisions, like buy a car or something like that. They do all this online research, they look at which car is faster and better performing and take it for a test drive, and then they go to buy it and they bring their friend with them for like some kind of social proof, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure my friend likes it too, and he's into cars, and he says, I don't really like the color, or I kind of prefer Audi, and suddenly like all that research, that rational research that you and all through like all the stuff you looked up in search engines just like goes out the window, right? And you're like, you're right, actually, green, So, so it's very hard. I think what a lot of research suggests is that people optimize based on the friend relationship versus the topic. To kind of answer your question directly, so they will trust their friends on certain things, regardless of whether they're objectively knowledgeable about it or not. Right, they just do it because they're their friends.
Right.
And the motivations could actually be outside that realm. It could be like, well, I just want us to like get to know each other better, so I'm going to trust your decision, trust your opinion on this, even though I don't really agree with it.
Right.
There's lots of things like that.
So you'd have to build an irrational sense into the algorithm, right, for it to really be a true representation of it.
Yeah. Same as the kind of first question in the sense that I don't know if algorithms are the best way to figure this out.
Right. So last question I have for you Do you feel we're at the point where the notion of a social graph is no longer just an online thing, that we're bridging the gap between offline and online, and that's part of that?
Yeah, it suffers from the same problem that I mentioned earlier, that offline life is so rich that it's hard for us to like map them directly together. I think that slowly but surely over time we're starting to like put more information into systems that maps directly to offline life. There's a lot of things like social cues that are still missing. So, if you're to ask me like, are they the same? I would say no. Offline life, or the social graph online and offline, are nowhere near close to being the same. But it definitely is merging. We're learning more about people, or people are telling systems more about them, so they can make better decisions. And also mobile is driving a lot of this. Like a lot of the offline interactions we have are when we're out and about. And now mobile phones are starting to record where we go, where we are, who we talk to, who we text, who we SMS, all these types of things. So we're starting to slowly but surely put the picture together. But I would say it's definitely premature to think that like the online tools we have are anywhere close to representing offline life. Like we're at the very beginning of solving a very complicated problem.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoyed it.